Hey, how we doing, guys? Gray here, and today we've got our week 1 battle of season 9 of the PTL. I can't believe we're 9 seasons into the PTL. Technically 10 if you want to count the NSTL, which was like a kind of trial season prior to PTL starting. Funnily enough, it ended up just kind of being a lot of the coaches that were in NSTL it ended up dropping along the way. I think there's only 3 of us that still remain from that original NSTL lineup. Or at least there's like 3 of us that have played in every season. I think it's myself, Zane, and Trog. Other than that, you got people like Ellie who have gone and come back. But yeah, this league is my own league. If you don't know, this is my own Showdown league. Obviously, I run UPBA as well. That is my Wi-Fi league. I run a Showdown league pretty much consistently throughout the entire time. I've been uploading draft league content. Initially, this league was meant to be a league that I could play in effectively. I initially didn't know anybody in the draft league community. Tried to start my own league, didn't get anybody to join, and then I managed to get a few people to join because I started becoming friends with people who were in the old PPL back in the day. So I eventually managed to get a league together, and that has become the PTL, which is, like I say, 9 seasons in. Anyway, that's enough of a tangent about the history of the PTL. We don't need to know any of that. Let's get into our week 1 matchup. I'm going to throw the team up. You've probably been looking at it, actually. The draft, I'm not doing a draft analysis because realistically, when it comes to PTL, all I do is draft things that I want to draft. There is no... Well, there's a bit of like team chemistry. I try to get some synergy. I try to have like mons that work together and still draft like a cohesive team, I guess. But it's not. There's not much planning behind it so much as it is just. I feel like drafting this thing. Either I haven't drafted it before, or I haven't drafted it for a long time, and I can't just throw a whole bunch of mons that fit into a team that I haven't drafted or I want to use, and I end up with a team that, in this case, is very offensive. You can see the team on screen. It's Zeraora, Gliscor, Jirachi, Blacephalon, Torrent GRENINJA, Non-Clangorous Soul, Komodo, Whimsicott, Braviary, Arctivish, and Gramble. It's an interesting team, and it definitely has some weaknesses, but that's going to be the way when you draft a team kind of on a whim, so to speak. I also was initially planning to not have Zeraora for this season. I was going to draft it to Ellie, and she ended up going with Mew and kind of built her team around Mew, and we didn't end up trading, so... I'm not mad because I end up like kind of building around Zeraora if I was going to keep it, and then if I was going to trade it, then I was going to make some changes. But yeah, it's looking like a really fun team. Pretty much got everything it needs as well. It's got like good defoggers, good hazard setters, wall breakers, pivots, a couple of defensive mons in Gliscor. Jirachi can be defensive, Komodo can be defensive. Even things like Gramble and Braviary can be defensive as well. A bit of like utility and things like Whimsicott. Again, Jirachi can be great for that as well. And really looking forward to using this team. And I meant to actually upload last season when I had a really fun team again. I had things like Rillaboom, Dragonite, Volcarona, all things that you see me draft in recent leagues. In fact, 2 of them, Rillaboom, Dragonite, and in fact Magnezone as well. All 3 of those I've got in BBL. They were all of my PTL team last season. So if you see it on this team, maybe you'll see it on a Wi-Fi team whenever the next seasons come around. So yeah, let's get into this matchup. Matchup will be on screen. My opponent's team is Mega Lopunny, Tapu Fini, Gengar, Tyranitar, Skarmory, Magnezone, Flygon, Golisopod, Delphox, Stoutland, and Appleton. Looking at the matchup, Mega Lopunny always going to be a big threat. Tapu Fini was really good against my team, barring Zeraora. Effectively, it had a fantastic matchup against everything else. Gengar offensively just tears my team apart. Like Dazzling Gleam, Shadow Ball, and like Sludge Wave pretty much cover my entire team. I don't think they needed much more than that. They could have run Icy Wind instead of Sludge Wave, because Sludge Wave could be seen as kind of obsolete because my 2 fairy types probably die to a Shadow Ball. And Icy Wind would hit the Gliscor for more damage. Tyranitar can be very good in this matchup. It's a little bit slow, and I can probably take advantage of that, but at the same time, like a banded set or an AV set, even like specially defensive rocks could be a bit of an issue for my team. Skarmory and Magnezone, one of those two is coming to this game, because I think a defensive Steel type is fantastic against things like Gliscor, Jirachi, Whimsicott as well. I feel like Magnezone is more likely than Skarmory, just because it's offensively able to pressure out some of my mons. Like Gliscor will die to 2 Flash Cannons of its specs, but it also does struggle. Like if Gliscor comes in for free on it, Blacephalon smacks it, Jirachi can questionably beat it, depending on the set that I run on Jirachi. Greninja can just U-turn out, Komodo beats it, while Skarmory is able to take a few more hits, but offensively doesn't do a whole lot to my team. But if he sets up spikes, could be a bit annoying. Flygon looks pretty good as a revenge killer, outspeeding things like Zeraora, Jirachi, Blacephalon, Komodo as well if it is Choice Scarf. It would outspeed Greninja if I'm not Choice Scarf myself as well, and Greninja's defenses aren't really existing, so yeah, I see Flygon being a very likely bring. And then the 4 mons at the bottom, I prepped for a little bit less, because I didn't think they were particularly great in this matchup. Golisopod really struggles to kind of get much value against his team. Sure, first impression plus Water Stab will be pretty decent, but I just don't think it's the best mon. I think he's got a better water type in Finny, and I don't think he wants to double up on water types against Zeraora. Delphox, another thing that has a pretty decent matchup, but also doesn't at the same time. Like, it's great against Jirachi, and my lower tier mons, Whimsicott, Braviary, and Bramble don't really deal with Delphox at all. But especially defensive Gliscor can deal with it just fine. Blacephalon can always come in and revenge it. It's scared of knockoff, it's scared of Greninja, and Komodo, though it probably can 1v1 Komodo, it can also take a ton of damage from an Earthquake. So Delphox I didn't think was necessarily the best bring for him in this game. Stoutland is entirely possible, just a standard normal type. Like, you might bring it as a Sand Sweeper because it is his only Sand sweeping option. But I do have lots of ways of kind of dealing with it. I've kind of prepped my a few of my mons to be able to take hits from it and be able to yeah, kind of deal with it if it gets a little bit out of control. I don't see it as a likely bring, but at the same time, Stoutland has some decent coverage. It has pretty good utility should he should he want to run an Intimidate set. But I think he's got better options in this game. And Atherton, again, I think he's got just better options. It doesn't necessarily do enough to be able to like consistently check things like Komodo, Greninja, Blacephalon. Jirachi can run Ice Punch, Gliscor can have Ice Fang. I know it gets Thick Fat, but it still is super effective despite that. So the 6 I was expecting going into this matchup was Megalophony, Tapu Fini, Gengar, Flygon. I thought those 4 were absolutely set in stone. And then it was any variation of Tyranitar, Skarmory, and Magnezone. And yeah, because of that, I had a very specific build. I'm going to pop that up on screen now. We have a Jolly Muscle Band Zeraora. Unfortunately, it does have to be Jolly this week just because Megalophony speed tier is a bit scary, especially if he tries to just outspeed Adamant. Megalophony doesn't necessarily need bulk in this game, so I thought there's a chance that he'll just run like max speed or enough speed to outspeed max speed Adamant Zeraora, which it can do if it's Jolly. I don't want to risk that. I want to be able to absolutely 100% have a way of revenge killing the Megalophony. Zeraora also just kind of goes nuts in this game. If he's not Scarf Flygon, he's going to take a ton from Play Rough. Close combat just like blows through Magnezone and the Tyranitar. Knockoff is just nice utility. I don't think it necessarily is better to click than Plasma Fist, depending on what he brings. If we don't see the Flygon, then Plasma Fist is so free against his team. Like Plasma Fist in close combat probably does knock out Magnezone. Magnezone really can't knock us out in one in return. If there's no Scarfer at all, then Zeraora just goes nuts in this matchup. Like, genuinely will just probably 6-0. So that's another reason why I expect Flygon to turn up, because it is basically his best way of checking Zeraora. It just is. I wanted to get a bit more power on it, especially because it's Jolly, but I didn't want to be Choice Locked. Choice Locked looked pretty bad in this game, so I decided to go Muscle Band just to get the little bit of extra damage, because we are missing out on going Adamant. And yeah, it's just generally very, very good in this matchup. Next up we have our Jirachi, which is a very interesting set. It is almost max for def AV, and this is my way of trying to bait in and killing the Gengar. Specs Shadow Ball is the only way he is able to 2-hit KO me on a switch in. Specs Hex after getting burned would also do a ton of damage. Obviously that's going to do a lot more than Shadow Ball is, but it does require 2 turns for him to do that. Also if he's Willow, I don't expect him to be Specs as well. So we do die to a burned Hex, I'm pretty sure, from like Life Orb. Black Sludge, I don't think we do from memory. So it's a really bulky set. Meteor Mash, so we can potentially get the attack raises. If the Magnezone comes, then Drain Punch doesn't 2-hit KO with a +1. It has a chance depending on his set. Zen Headbutt just OHKOs the Gengar. It OHKOs a Megalopony. It puts in a good amount of work. Drain Punch, here for Tyranitar, here for the Magnezone. Fighting coverage is pretty decent in this game, and you're going to see, or you can see that I got it on a few mons. And then U-turn just to be able to pivot out if I think Skarmory's coming in. I might be able to take advantage of that, and any chance I can get Zeraora in on this on the Skarmory in this game, words are hard. Then yeah, absolutely fantastic for me. But this is really my like fail-safe against Gengar, which is weird because I'm weak to it. But yeah, it just kind of goes crazy in this game, and I needed something that potentially could make him feel safe in staying in, and then just be able to take him out. Next we got Greninja, which is Choice Scarf. Again, because I'm so scared of that Gengar, I wanted to make sure I had a Choice Scarf that was faster than his Gengar. It's the fastest thing, I believe, on the field. Just because Megalopony can't be Scarfed. So we do have that advantage that we should be outspeeding absolutely everything. Of course we're Torrent, not Protean. We can't run Protean or Battle Bond in this league because we don't have Battle Bond Greninja, and Protean Gren is banned. We are just pretty much max special attack, a little bit of attack investment just to be able to get the most out of Gunk Shot and U-turn. Dual Stabs look really nice. Hydro Pump does a lot to things like Skarmory, Flygon, to Megalopony, to Tyranitar, and also to the Magnezone should it come. Dark Pulse hits the Gengar. I believe it does knock it out in 1. I could be wrong on that, I don't remember the calcs. It was a little while ago I played this game. Gunk Shot obviously is there to hit Tapu Fini. And then U-turn again, if I can pivot, if I can get like a good switch on like the Skarmory or maybe the Tapu Fini coming in, then I can get in my Zeraora, I can click Plasma Fists and just try and claim one. Next up we got Gliscor with the Toxicol Poison Hill, of course. Relatively defensive. This is effectively my best way of dealing with Megalopony and Tyranitar. Also the Flygon, this is a pretty much hard walls Flygon, unless it's Dragon Dance Life Orb. Earthquake, U-turn, Roost, Protect. These moves went back and forth. This was the one that I couldn't decide on the moveset for. U-turn and Roost I absolutely wanted. Earthquake, Protect weren't there initially. I had Taunt over Protect and I had Knockoff over Earthquake. I really didn't like the fact that my way of dealing with mons like Flygon, with Tyranitar, and with Megalopony wasn't really able to do any damage with Knockoff and U-turn, so I decided to go Earthquake over Knockoff. Does mean that if it's Rocky Helmet Skarmory, it's going to be taking I'm going to be taking some damage if I click U-turn. And I gone Protect over Taunt. This one again is just, it was a 50-50. I didn't know whether I wanted to run Taunt to be able to stop the Skarmory from really doing absolutely anything against me. We would eventually be able to just kind of wear it down. It also prevents Flygon from going too crazy with Dragon Dances if it's a Dragon Dance set and not Scarf. Like I say, I do expect Scarf over Dragon Dance. I think it's a better revenge killer than it is Setup Sweeper this week. And then, yeah, Protect is kind of just there to be able to scout, as well as to be able to hopefully live 2 Ice Punches from any kind of Tyranitar set. If it's Ice Beam, then it's a different story. It'll probably just knock us out. Megalopony can run Triple Axle. It's, again, Triple Axle, if it gets all 3, will knock us out. If it doesn't get all 3, then we get enough Earthquake damage to put it in Hydro Pump range, or we just bring in Zeraora, and we're able to click Close Combat / Play Rough. Close Combat will do more, but depends on the situation. So Gliscor is literally just a defensive pivot in this game. Really the only one outside, I guess Jirachi is more of a defensive pivot than offensive in this game, but yeah. Then we got our Arctivish. This is our designated way of trying to deal with Tapu Fini. Depending on his Fini set, he could run Calm Mind, Draining Kiss, which would be the worst case scenario, I think. He could also run Moonblast. He could, like just an offensive Moonblast set, that would also not be great for us. But if it is just like a physically defensive, like Wakamberry set, then Arctivish with Super Fang plus Freeze Dry will be able to wear it down pretty quickly. Super Fang will do 50%, and then Freeze Dry will be able to 2-hit KO from there. I could also just Super Fang twice, but Freeze Dry ignores the fact that I can miss. Vicious Rend just does a ton of damage to things like the Magnezone, to the Tyranitar, anything that wants to switch in, so even the Finny will take like 30% from Vicious Rend on the switch. Lopunny won't appreciate it, Flygon doesn't appreciate it, and then Hydro Pump is specifically there for the Skarmory because if he wants a physically defensive switch in that isn't the Tapu Fini, if he wants to save Finny for something else, namely the Komodo, then I'm able to Hydro Pump and 2-hit KO. With the Mystic Water, it's actually doing that much, like enough damage to be able to knock it out. To 2-hit KO even. Lastly, we've got our Komodo with a Roselli Berry. Adamant Nature, Scale Shot, Close Combat, Thunder Punch, Swords Dance. I went back and forth between Thunder Punch and Poison Jab. Poison Jab did more to the Finny, but Thunder Punch covers the Skarmory as well as the Tapu Fini, so I'd end up going for Thunder Punch here. I'm not entirely sure whether I can get the speed boost at any point with Scale Shot, but if Finny goes down, I click Swords Dance and I'm able to get a Scale Shot off as well. This set can potentially just sweep, but again, it depends because I think maybe it's going to be Scarf on the Flygon. It really depends on how I'm able to play this battle, but there's a chance that Komodo could set up and just win. This is also a very safe way of dealing with Stoutland. It brings Play Rough with Roselli. We take that hit, we kill Close Combat. So if at any point we see Stoutland and we're not able to deal with it with Gliscor, which we absolutely should be able to, then we can always go into Komodo and just click Close Combat and pick up the kill on that. Other than that, it is able to obviously knock out things like Tyranitar. I believe that Scale Shot, if I get 3 hits, knock out Gengar. And Mega Lopunny doesn't appreciate Close Combat at all. We are EV to outspeed Mega Lopunny at +1. So that's going to be the team. Let's get into the battle. I'm going to take a quick drink before we get into it. Let me know, by the way, if you enjoy the team builders. I know I've had a couple of people ask me if I plan to do team builders at all for Wi-Fi leagues. I generally don't. I have the sets now on cards that come up, and like if you have any questions, then you can always like ask me directly or in the comment section. But I felt like PTL do something a bit different. It's probably not going to get as many views generally anyway, so I might as well try something a bit different and go for team builders, which granted is not like out of the ordinary, but you know what I mean. So yeah, let's get into this matchup. Let's get. So he brings the Skarmory, Flygon, Tyranitar, Gengar, Tapu Fini, and a Mega Lopunny. This is really kind of expected. He didn't bring any of the bottom 4, which I'm actually kind of thankful for because I didn't necessarily put in my best prep for it. I did have things that could deal with like Golisopod and Appleton and Stoutland, Delphox as well. Delphox would have been a bit of a problem, but he did bring it, so that's all that matters. Yeah. Pretty much what we're expecting. I think the sets are going to be roughly what I'm expecting as well. Scarf Flygon or Scarf Gengar are his only 2 like viable options, I think. I wouldn't be surprised if this is Stealth Rock, Tyranitar, Spike, Skarmory. Still unsure on the Tapu Fini set. Like it looks potentially like it could be set up just from the build where he's kind of not got much in terms of setup, unless he's like Dragon Dance on either of his Tyranitar or his Flygon. Megalop is just going to be Megalop. Like there's no differentiating the sets effectively. It's just going to be clicking buttons against my team. So looking at the lead matchup, I was actually really worried about I was worried about potential lead Skarmory with like Spikes and Spike, Stealth Rock, Custap, that kind of set. Defensive looked better, but I was actually just generally more worried about a lead set, so I end up leading with Arctivish, which we're gonna see is let's turn that off. Where's the music? That's not kill my ears. I honestly can't even find our music there. Right there, right in front of me. Yeah, so he actually leads off with Gengar. I lead off with my Arctivish. I just go hard into my Jirachi. If he is Spec Shadow Ball and he 2-hit KOs me, then I know he's Specs, not Scarf. My Zeraora can come in, it can knock off. My Greninja can come in and click Dark Pulse. I definitely had a couple of options. If he clicks Shadow Ball as well, I can go into Bulletproof Komodo. Again, like if I work out what his set is, I've got a way of switching into it. So I do switch out into my Jirachi as he actually goes for a nasty plot. If this is Life Orb, it just knocks me out, I'm pretty sure. If I remember the calc properly, if it's Life Orb, I die. But again, we know it's Life Orb. We can go into one of those other checks and be fine. So yeah, I'm just going to go for the Zen Headbutt, as it turns out he is not Life Orb. He is actually Sash. So we're able to put him down to 1 HP. And unfortunately we get the Curse Body, but it really doesn't matter at this point. Like, Jirachi has done its job. Like I said, his only real job is to check this Gengar, and it's done that. It's put it in range where it's effectively useless against like 3 of my Mons. I say 3, but 2 of my Mons. Depending on whether it's got Focus Blast or not, I can't Oko Arctivish either. So we're just going to click U-turn on the off chance that he decides to switch. He doesn't, and we go into Zeraora and just click Knockoff. It's fairly free against his team. I don't think he wants to go into Megalopony. If he goes into his Tapu Fini and his Wakamberry, it loses that, and it dies to Plasma Fist. There was no real good switch-ins for him, so yeah, we just pick up the knockoff kill and trade turn 4. And the fact that he goes hard into his Flygon here just screams that it's a Choice Scarf Flygon. Like I did expect it in like my entire time in prep. I was like, this is going to be Choice Scarf if it comes. So I just go out into my Gliscor as he predicts that and goes for a U-turn. Very nice mid-ground for him, and he goes out into his Tapu Fini. I still got my dedicated answer to this in my Arctivish. I just go out into it as he starts setting up Calm Minds. This is a bit worrying, but we are able to kind of chip away at this. We're not able to knock it out, obviously, because it's draining kissing us and gaining quite a bit of health back, but we are able to make it so it's low enough that hopefully it's able to die to a bunch of things on my team. Here, if it's I click pause, but if it's offensive and like offensive Wakamberry, I believe it just dies. However, if it's defensive, it won't be able to knock us out in return, even at +2, unless it's Hydro Pump. I think Hydro Pump had a role to knock me out, but I do have quite a bit of Spadef investment, so I'm quite happy to go out into this and just click Plasma Fist. As we do see, it is Wakamberry, and it's able to surf us. It brings us down to like quite a low amount of health. As should actually go back. It brings us down to quite a low amount of health, but it's still fine because Zeraora outspeeds everything that is not Flygon on this team, and it still Okos like 4 out of 5 of these Mons. So low I've taken that damage, it still was worth it as a worthwhile trade for me. He didn't Draining Kiss because obviously he wouldn't have lived the next Plasma Fist anyway, but maybe Draining Kiss and then switching would have been his best play to try and bait the Plasma Fists again. Because he's at 15%, I know I can knock it out with a Play Rough, and it does cover the Flygon switch should he decide to go into it, and as we just saw, because I didn't pause quick enough, he does go into the Flygon, and unfortunately we just miss out on the KO, but we put it in a low enough amount of range, low enough range for our Greninja to just click U-turn and kill it. At this point, Greninja's looking pretty nice. If I'm able to keep weakening things, like Tapu Fini is no longer a switch-in, Flygon is at 10%. Tyranitar, if we can weaken that a little bit, we'll not be able to take a Hydro Pump, and the same with the Skarmory, even get it down to 50%, shouldn't be able to take a Hydro Pump. So, though Zeraora could be my endgame, Greninja is also opening up as my endgame as well, and at this point I'm thinking maybe if I can get Greninja in a bit more, I can potentially chip things down for Zeraora, or vice versa. If I can get my my Zeraora in, I'll be able to chip things down for my Greninja to just kind of go in. So switch out into Gliscor. Don't want to take a potential Earthquake. again, he just reads that and goes into his Lopunny. Here I'm at full, and it's actually, or I'm close enough to full. If he is Jolly Max attack, it will knock me out with Triple Axle, but he has to get all 3 hits. And I don't know for sure whether or not he's going to be Triple Axle or not. I don't want to protect, because if he Triple Axles and kills me, he Triple Axles and kills me. This was a really tough turn, because I wanted to go out into Greninja, but at the same time, if he just went for a U-turn, predicting me to switch, that did like a shit ton of damage. I think it may have even knocked me out because I'm Naive Nature. Naive is actually minus special attacks, never mind. Special defense. So I didn't want to switch out here. It was a case of risking the Triple Axle to not get all 3 hits, as we're actually going to see that the Triple Axle misses entirely, and this is huge. Honestly, the biggest turn in the entire game, in my opinion. Just because now I can get an Earthquake off, I can do enough damage that is now in Hydro Pump range, and I can let this die if I wanted to. I don't really want to, because it's still my best check to Flygon. It still checks Tyranitar if it doesn't have Ice Punch for some reason, or Ice Beam. It can also come in on Skarmory, but it doesn't really do anything to Skarmory, especially because I took Taunt off. Looking at its matchup now, like in hindsight, Taunt would have been amazing, because Skarmory, I can't do anything to it now, and it can set up spikes, whilst I could have prevented that if I had just run Taunt. So because I'm aware that if he Triple Axles and I lose my Gliscor at this point, I'm in a really bad place, but I have set up my Greninja to pick up like 3 kills now. So Greninja can pick up the kill on Lopunny, it can pick up the kill on Tapu Fini, and on Flygon, all with Hydro Pump. I just need to weaken, like Skarmory should be a 2-hit KO, unless it's leftovers. Tyranitar will be a 2-hit KO as well. He doesn't really have a switch in. Every time Greninja comes in, he has to pick a sack. And I make a bit of a ballsy play. Because he missed the first one, I was pretty sure he was going to click it again. Especially because I almost showed that I was willing to sack my Gliscor. So I switch out into my Greninja, which doesn't really take this particularly well. He does get all 3 hits. I just go for a Hydro Pump. If I miss that, obviously I lose my Greninja, but I was willing to risk it. And now I should have just clicked Hydro Pump again. Setting up, letting him set up spikes for free really hurt, but I assumed that he had Body Press because he went into it. And I really didn't want to get Body Pressed. I thought I was just like, Greninja is my win con, or one of my win cons at this point. Because Zeraora, whilst Flygon is still alive, even at 10% HP, is still... Flygon just completely blocks Zeraora from being able to win this game. So Greninja is looking more and more like my endgame. Maybe I can get Zeraora in just to click Plasma Fist against something, or click Knockoff to be able to cripple something for Greninja to clean later. I'm starting to play towards Greninja sweeping, but I just really want to get damage on this, and unfortunately we do see his Rocky Helmet, so at least we have broken the sturdy. I get my Zeraora in. Unfortunately though, just gets Whirlwind is straight out. And here I don't want to get Whirlwind again. I was going to click Swords Dance, but if he clicks Whirlwind, I get absolutely nothing out of that turn. So I decided to go with the Thunder Punch, and Rocky Helmet plus Brave Bird almost knocks me out, but it does do enough damage to his Skarmory that he's going to be in a bad position. In hindsight, I could have just set up a Swords Dance here if I thought he was going to roost. Because if he roosts, he's at more health than I don't know what I'm going with here, but he's at more health than he would currently be at if I click Thunder Punch or Close Combat. Close Combat does more damage than Thunder Punch, but not by a lot. 44% is always going to be too high for Komodo to be able to pick up the KO here. But on the off chance that he decides to not go Roost, I go for a Close Combat. Hindsight, my play was just a Swords Dance, I guess, and try and get the Close Combat kill without him roosting. But at the same time, if I click Close Combat +2 and he also clicked Roost, he would have been at a higher amount of health than 56. So at this point, I bring in my Greninja. 56. That was a risky time to bring in Greninja. Bringing in Zeraora would probably have been better, going Zero Aura, clicking knockoff, because it meant that I 100% put the Skarmory into range. But I think I calculated from that damage that I think the Thunder Punch either was a low roll or close combat was a lower roll. And I thought it was physically defensive, like fully Fizz Def Skarmory. So Greninja will be able to knock it out from that range, that's why I went into Greninja. He doesn't know whether I'm Modest or Timid, and Modest would have knocked him out from that range. Timid, I think, was a very, very small roll for me to be able to knock him out. I just go into my Greninja, I go for Hydro Pump, like I said. Every time it comes in, it does claim a kill. So he actually goes out into Tyranitar, and I go out into my Gliscor. This Rock Blast does way too much damage to me to be anything other than Choice Banded. Because the Roost seems super obvious, and I think he has like a great switch out into Skarmory and a chance to be able to Roost up. I don't want to give him that opportunity, so I go out into my Zero Aura as he just Rock Blasts again, and unfortunately we do lose our Zero Aura on that turn. I end up going back into Gliscor and just clicking Roost this time. Again, like if he clicks Roost with Skarmory at any point in this endgame, I cannot knock it out with Greninja. I don't have any moves on my moveset to be able to do so. But then again, I haven't shown Protect. I've only shown, Earthquake and U-Turn at this point. So he doesn't know I haven't got Taunt, and we're going to be able to try and 1v1 Skarmory. So he goes out into his Flygon as I go for Roost. Putting us back at a good enough amount of health that even if he is Ice Punch, we have a chance, I think, to live Tyranitar's Ice Punch. We're going to pick up the U-Turn KO, and because his Skarmory is at a decent amount of health and his Tyranitar is at full, I need to make sure that I get down to Torrent range, because the only way I'm able to knock out the Tyranitar is Torrent. I don't know about the Skarmory at this point. I think that Skarmory, during the battle, I was pretty sure Skarmory was going to die to the Hydro Pump regardless, but the Sand Chip plus the Spike Chip is going to put me in Torrent range, and that's the only way that I kill Tyranitar, and that is if it has like no bulk at all. If it has like max HP, then there's just no way I'm able to knock it out with Hydro Pump. And if he goes out into it here, I kind of just lose if he clicks Ice Punch, because I'm pretty sure like if he Ice Punches and I don't pick up the KO, he can go out into, I don't know, he can go out to Skarmory and maybe be able to live a hit. Like if he's Choice Banded, like surely it does 34. Like with Sand, it will do 34 to a Greninja. So if he goes out into Tyranitar here and clicks Ice Punch, there's a strong chance I just lose the game. Because even if I kill Tyranitar with my Gliscor, I then can't break the Skarmory. So he actually goes out into Skarmory first though, and I get the Hydro Pump and I do get the roll. I think this is like a 30-something% roll to knock out. And yeah, we do manage to get it, but I don't know whether or not, and this was something we spoke about after the game, because of the way Showdown works out its percentages, like anything that's above 33, so if it's like 33.1, I'm pretty sure that will like round up to 34. There's a chance that at this point I'm already in Torrent and that is not actually a roll. If that's the case, then yeah, that's not a roll, it just straight up KOs. If it wasn't in Torrent, that is a big fat roll that I managed to get there, but I had to risk it. I didn't really have much of a choice at this point because, like I said, Gliscor cannot do anything to the Skarmory, so like if I'm switching out, I could have switched out into it and then gone for a U-turn, I guess, and gotten back in and absolutely 100% being in Torrent, but I didn't think that was worth it, because if he roosts up, then again I just lose. So we are able to pick up the KO on the Skarmory, and Hydro Pump just OHKOs Tyranitar. Shout out to Greninja for hitting all of its Hydro Pumps in this game. Kind of nuts that it hit all of them. Like that's got to be in Torrent. So when I watched this initially, or when I played this initially, I thought I took another lot of Sand Chip, so I was absolutely 100% in Torrent. For that to kill meant that I was in Torrent. So yeah, Skarmory kill was not a roll. That end kill there, though it didn't matter too much because my Gliscor always outsped a Tyranitar. Yeah, that last That was a roll. That was a 30% roll, I'm pretty sure as well. Like, there was 2 rolls that were 30%. It was Skarmory when it was at 56% without Torrent. With Torrent, it did like 70% minimum. Since we know it killed the Tyranitar at the same amount of HP, it absolutely was in Torrent. And yeah, it was able to knock out Tyranitar in 1. That was a roll. But like I said, I just go into Gliscor afterwards, I click Earthquake, and I win this game. So yeah, good game to Veri. Really fun game. I had a lot of, like, we did get a bit lucky, but at the same time, I did have to make some interesting plays, I think, to be able to keep myself in this one and be able to end up winning. I was really actually very proud of like some of those plays, like the play rough on the Flygon. Granted, he could have not risked it. He could have gone into, or he could have just sacked off his Finny at that point. I don't think it did too much for him, but he obviously had some plans for it. I don't know if you can hear Ellie screaming in the background or not. She's currently playing with Chips, though, if anyone knows Overwatch. So, like, she's actually duoing with him at the moment. Yeah, so I've lost all train of thought. I've lost my train of thought entirely. Yeah, so this getting game effectively just came down to Greninja getting into Torrent. If I was at 1% more, I don't think I win this game. I mean, there's potential I could, but if he was banded, if he was adamant banded Ice Punch, and I'm pretty sure that just knocked out my Flygon. Like, I could have just clicked U-turn on the Skarmory. It would have been low enough that I'm pretty sure it would have done enough. Because even the lowest roll probably did enough to put Skarmory in range. Yeah, so 1% really was like the difference between this game being a win and a loss. And against someone like Veri, that's kind of what you expect. You definitely expect a very tough game. And I'm very, very fortunate, I think, in this game, especially with the triple axle miss, because if he hits triple axle, then this end game is kind of pointless anyway, because Gliscor does die, and if I don't get the roll on Tyranitar, then I lose. So we definitely had a bit of luck in our favour, but that's Mons, and you know, sometimes it's in your favour, sometimes it's not. When it's in your favour, you just got to take it and take the win when it comes. But yeah, that's going to wrap up week 1. I know this is a longer video, like 37 minutes for a showdown replay. I'm trying to go a bit more in depth. Like, if people just tune out and don't watch this, then they tune out and don't watch it. Like, effectively, this is not content that I will be particularly upset if I get like 10 views on. And you never know, people might prefer like the team builders and the more sort of analytical approach to the games, because most of the time when I'm playing live with like live comms, my brain is just trying to process like 6 different things at once, and I don't always express what I'm thinking particularly well, and it's something I want to improve on. I want to get better at that, and being able to kind of take a step back and like just review a game after it's happened is kind of a nice change of pace. It's been a while since I've done post-com, so I'm probably a bit rusty on it, but also showdown content has just pretty much died off on YouTube. Kind of want to bring some of it back, so if you did enjoy the battle, please leave a like, subscribe so you don't miss out on future content. We got PTL, we got UBL, we got BBL, we got UPA, and in the future we got UPBA as well. That's going to be big. I'm very much looking forward to that. So yeah, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out any of that. I don't believe that Veri has a channel, but if he does, then I'll try and link it down below. I don't think he does, though. I'm pretty sure he doesn't. And yeah, until the next one, have a great day, guys. Peace.